But what's really interesting in Europe, they still allow glyphosate, but they have stricter rules with different formulations, okay? And some of the chemicals that were used in US Roundup are banned in Europe, okay? So the European Roundup formulations are safer, and even Monsanto Bayer recognizes that in internal documentation in the Monsanto papers and other things that were released during the court cases. And they say, like, why, they like even made the comment, I think, that said, like, why don't we just use this everywhere? And that's what I'm wondering. Like, in the same respect of artificial food dyes and how Kellogg's can not use it in Korea and in China and Canada and Europe and keep poisoning us here, why are we allowing Bayer to keep poisoning us here when in Europe they're not allowed to use some surfactants, right? That diquat is not allowed to be put in the formulation, right? That many countries have a home garden ban. You're not allowed to use it in a home garden, right? And other public places. So we can, as a country, regulate glyphosate that would be similar to Europe, or we can do other measures like stop the pre-harvest desiccation use of glyphosate, the spraying of wheat to dry it off after harvest, which ends up going, the majority of human exposure comes from that application. There are some common sense things we could do as a government to address this. But I think the bottom line is just to tell the truth. And if the one thing we can get out of this rally is, first of all, to show that the people are united, that we will not stand for a company getting a liability shield. We will not stand for the Farm Bill to have a liability shield. We will not stand for the state legislators across the nation. There's 21 different states that the Modern Ag Alliance is doing right now to try to put in these pesticide liability shields at the state level. This organization is being funded by Bayer. They used a different name so that it sounds innocuous and it sounds like legit, but it's actually an organization funded by Bayer that is going to these different states and doing Bayer's bidding and making it look like farmers need this, that this is good for farmers, when actually the farmers are getting sick and getting cancer, and it's really against them. And I think what's so interesting is that when people use the farmer argument, you need to just replace the word farmer with big agricultural companies that are big ag farms that are selling food that we don't even see on our plates. Industrial corn and soy that's either going to feed animals, or it's going to ethanol, or it's going to ultra processed foods, right? And so this is not something we want to support anyways. We want to change this, right? We want to go to more regenerative agriculture, more biodiverse crops. And so if we're ever going to tackle this, right, we have to start telling the truth about these chemicals and start reducing them like the other countries that have better health outcomes have already done.